In the aftermath of the Soviet collapse, the Russian Navy faced numerous challenges. The economic difficulties and budget constraints of the post-Soviet era led to a decline in defence spending, affecting the maintenance, modernization, and construction of naval vessels. Many ships and submarines from the Soviet era were decommissioned due to budget limitations, lack of maintenance, and technological obsolescence. The restructuring of the Russian armed forces aimed at creating a more streamlined and efficient military apparatus. However, this process also involved downsizing, which impacted the size and operational capabilities of the Russian Navy. The lack of funds for research and development hindered the creation of new advanced naval technologies. The 1990s saw a reduction in operational capacity of the Russian Navy. Despite these challenges, Russia maintained a nuclear-powered submarine fleet, emphasizing its commitment to retaining a credible nuclear deterrent. As the Russian economy gradually stabilized in the early 2000s, the government under President Vladimir Putin sought to revitalize and modernize the armed forces, including the Navy. The Russian Navy underwent a series of reforms, with a focus on upgrading existing vessels and developing new, more technologically advanced ones. Investments were made in strategic nuclear submarines, surface ships, and naval aviation. One significant development was the revival of long-range strategic naval patrols, reminiscent of the Cold War era. Russia aimed to assert its maritime presence globally, showcasing its naval capabilities in various international waters. The Russian Navy's resurgence was demonstrated through increased participation in joint naval exercises with other nations, showcasing its capabilities and fostering international collaboration. Modernization efforts included the construction of new classes of submarines, corvettes, and frigates, equipped with advanced weaponry and technology. While the Russian Navy has made strides in modernization efforts, challenges persist, including the need for sustained funding, overcoming technological gaps, and adapting to evolving geopolitical dynamics. The state of the Russian Navy remains a subject of ongoing assessment and strategic development as Russia seeks to assert itself as a maritime power in the 21st century. Iron Coffin. The difficulties that the Russian Navy has faced since its inception after the collapse of the Soviet Union culminated after a series of fatal flaws led to the events in the summer of the year 2000. The Kursk Submarine disaster was a tragic event that unfolded on the 12th of August 2000, involving the Russian Navy's Oscar II class submarine Kursk. The Kursk was participating in the Summer X training exercise in the Barents Sea, a routine naval drill designed to simulate various combat scenarios. The submarine, armed with torpedoes and capable of carrying nuclear cruise missiles, was one of Russia's modern and formidable naval assets. Kursk had a mythical standing. It was reputedly unsinkable, and it was claimed could withstand a direct hit from a torpedo. The outer hull was constructed using 8mm steel plate, covered up by 80mm of rubber, which minimised other submarines or surface vessels' ability to detect the submarine. The inner pressure hull was made of high-quality 50mm steel plate. The two hulls were separated by a 1 to 2 metre gap. The inner hull was divided into 9 watertight compartments, with the craft measuring 155 metres in length. At 8:51 local time, Kursk requested permission to conduct a torpedo training launch and received the response "Dobro," or good. After considerable delay, the submarine was set to fire 2 dummy torpedoes at the Kirov-class battlecruiser Pyotr Veliky. At 11:29 local time, the torpedo room crew loaded the first practice Type 65 kit torpedo without a warhead into Kursk's No. 4 torpedo tube on the starboard side. It was 10.7 metres long and weighed 5 tons. At 11:29 and 34 seconds, seismic detectors at the Norwegian seismic array and in other locations around the world recorded a seismic event of magnitude 1.5 on the Richter scale. The location was fixed at coordinates northeast of Murmansk, approximately 250 kilometers from Norway and 80 kilometers from the Kola Peninsula. At 11:31, 48 seconds, 2 minutes and 14 seconds after the first, a second event, measuring 4.2 on the Richter scale, or 250 times larger than the first, was registered on seismographs across northern Europe and was detected as far away as Alaska. The second explosion was equivalent to 2 to 3 tons of TNT. The seismic data showed that the explosion occurred at the same depth as the seabed. The seismic event showed that the boat had moved about 400 meters from the site of the initial explosion. It was enough time for the submarine to sink to a depth of 108 meters and remain on the sea floor for a short period. The Russian Navy initially downplayed the severity of the incident, leading to a delayed and inadequate response. Senior officers in the Russian Navy offered a variety of explanations for the accident. 4 days after Kursk sank, Russian Navy Commander-in-Chief and Fleet Admiral Vladimir Kuroyedov stated the accident had been caused by a serious collision. Vice Premier Ilya Klebanov said the submarine might have hit an old World War II mine. He also said that almost all of the sailors had died before the vessel hit the bottom. The Russian government convened a commission chaired by Vice Premier Ilya Klebanov on the 14th of August, 2 days after the Kursk sank. Nearly half of the commission members were officials with a stake in the outcome of the investigation. Independent investigators were not invited to take part, giving the appearance that the commission's findings might not be impartial. The submarine's distress signals were not immediately recognised, and rescue efforts were hampered by insufficient information, equipment, and lack of coordination. The Russian government's reluctance to seek foreign assistance during the critical early hours of the disaster further exacerbated the rescue operations challenges. International offers of assistance, including those from the United Kingdom and Norway, were initially declined. It took several days for the Russian government to accept foreign aid, but by that time, hope for any survivors had dwindled. The rescue mission faced technical difficulties, and Russian authorities struggled to provide accurate and timely information to the public and the international community. On the 21st of August, Russian divers finally reached the Kursk escape trunk, discovering no signs of life. The entire crew had perished, most likely in the immediate aftermath of the explosions. The recovery of the bodies and investigation into the disaster revealed the extent of the damage to the submarine and the challenges faced by the crew in attempting to escape. It is eventually evaluated that the explosion on board the Kursk submarine was caused by the detonation of a faulty torpedo. The initial explosion was later determined to be caused by the combustion of the Type 6576 kit torpedo, which was fueled by liquid propellant, which was highly volatile. It's believed that a combination of factors led to the catastrophic event. The likely sequence of events involved a leak of the highly combustible propellant, which then ignited due to the heat generated by the torpedo itself, or a spark from a short circuit in the torpedo room. The second explosion occurred a few minutes later and was more significant, contributing to the submarine's rapid descent to the seabed. The investigation into the Kursk tragedy revealed that the torpedo had design flaws, particularly in the rocket's engine's fueling system. The inadequacies in the torpedo's design, combined with insufficient quality control during its manufacturing, contributed to the propellant leak and subsequent explosion. The investigation also highlighted deficiencies in emergency procedures, rescue operations, and the communication protocols within the Russian Navy. The Kursk disaster had far-reaching implications for the Russian Navy and the country's military establishment. It highlighted the need for improved safety measures, enhanced communication protocols, and a more transparent approach to handling such incidents. The inadequate response and communication failures drew widespread criticism, both domestically and internationally. The tragedy prompted Russia to re-evaluate its naval practices and invest in upgrading its submarine fleet. The incident also played a role in shaping public opinion and contributing to increased scrutiny of the Russians' military capabilities and management. Fallout. The aftermath of the Kursk submarine incident was marked by grief, international concern, and scrutiny of the Russian government's handling of the tragedy. The catastrophe, which claimed the lives of all 118 crew members, had a profound impact on various fronts. The international community closely monitored the events surrounding the Kursk disaster. The reluctance to accept help fueled criticism and raised questions about transparency and openness. As details emerged, foreign governments and observers expressed condolences and, in some cases, frustration at the delayed and limited cooperation. Families of the submariners faced an agonising wait for information. As hope dwindled, the emotional toll on the relatives intensified. The lack of timely and accurate communication from Russian authorities added to their distress. The tragedy led to increased scrutiny of how the government communicated with the families, highlighting the need for improved support systems for those affected by such incidents. The Russian public responded with a mix of sorrow, frustration, and demands for accountability. Many questioned the government's handling of the crisis, particularly the delay in accepting foreign aid. The incident became a symbol of broader concerns about the state of the Russian military, its transparency, and the prioritization of national security. The Kursk incident prompted significant reforms in the Russian Navy. Modernization efforts were initiated to improve the safety of submarine operations, enhance communication capabilities, and ensure more effective crisis management. The tragedy served as a catalyst for overhauling outdated practices and investing in updated technology and training. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like, and for more amazing tales and thrilling stories, don't forget to subscribe to Uncovered Secrets. Also, hit the bell icon to stay notified for every release.